So if the customer is Batman, right? They are the superhero in their story. You are Robin. You are there to assist. All right. You're there to Obi-Wan Kenobi the situation. All right. I got it. I understood it, but I was like, how am I Robin? Because I'm Batman. I'm Batman. All right. I have an English degree. I've been writing for forever. I love this, but people that I'm dealing with don't love writing. They don't have a writing process. And I was struggling because I was just like, well, writing is not my problem, but I want to help people who are struggling with writing. Can I relate to that? Just one of these tells a part of the story. Welcome to Pages, my business and personal growth vlog. Story time. Why I wrote a book in 2020 and never published it. So let's get into it. Hey writers, Denise Renee here, and thank you for stopping by the second episode of my vlog, Pages. In this vlog, I share with you personalized moments in my business and brand building journey. I hope that they're helpful. I hope that you get lessons, learn some of the lessons that I've learned. And I hope that it also just helps you understand me a little bit more. So like if you enjoy my teaching content, but you want to know a little bit more about who I am, what I'm like, what I don't like, y'all. You will hear some of that here on my vlog, on my business vlog. To guarantee that I got this video done, I'm recording this video right after I recorded episode 1 in full transparency. So these are my notes that I want to make sure I hit some points. But this is it, y'all. The manuscript. Yeah. That is my graphic that I paid for in 2019 and had the book cover. Didn't have the book cover. How in the world did I write an entire book and not publish the daggone thing? I'm going to tell you. So, if you watched my last episode, and I encourage you if you have a little bit of time, I release these on Saturdays. I realize you could be watching this or listening to this at some other time. So I would say when you have a little bit of a drive to do, or you're home and you're cooking or you're cleaning up or something like that, put me on. All right. Listen to that one. I recorded it. It was about 52 minutes. And I don't think it's going to be that much shorter. I'm not editing these videos. Anybody got time? Mm-hmm. I put time into editing my teaching videos, but this is a vlog, child. It is what it is. We here to hang out, all right? We here to hang out. In episode 1 of Pages, I gave like a brief rundown of me in business. And like I said then, I don't consider myself an entrepreneur. I'm not an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs, I believe, are people like my ex-husband. They love business. They love the numbers. They love the sales. They love the challenge of it. They love to see what they can build. I'm an artist. I'm a creative. I'm a lover and a writer, not a fighter. I like to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it, if I feel like doing it. All right. Of course, I'm an adult. I'm an adult. I handle my business. I do what I gotta do. Right now, what I gotta do is work these 60 daggone hours so that I can keep this roof over my head by the grace of God, right? While I'm taking the very slow route of rebuilding my brand. And in that video, like I said, told you I put my business on pause for like about 5 years because I had to figure my life out. I had to figure out what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, if I wanted to do it, and all that kind of good stuff. So when I finally figured that out, I've just been, tiptoeing. I call these last 5 years hibernation. But I've been tiptoeing out slowly but surely, putting out content, starting to network again, yada, yada, this and yada, yada, that. And, in the process of that, I started talking about, yeah, I've got a book. Actually, I wrote a book in 2020 and never released it. And people are like, wait, what? What happened? Like, wait, what's good? Like, what is all of that about? And I promised that I would tell the story of it. And so here's me telling the story. So I wrote this in 2019. So from 2017 till the end of 2019, so good 2.5 years, I was 100% living off of the clients that I brought in and driving Uber and Lyft. When driving Uber and Lyft was still feasible in terms of the money that you made. And like I said, I got that first book writing client specifically because she was an Uber passenger. And I had a sign on the back of my seat advertising my writing services. So I did her book. I did another manuscript for someone else that went sideways. I did another manuscript for someone else. Then I think, the last ghostwriting manuscript that I worked on. That project made me, like I said, rethink my life. But before that, I was like, well, I'm getting these clients their books, and I know the power of a book. I know how powerful it is to have a book out. I need to write a book for my business. So I wrote this first book, Exhibit A, show and tell, baby. Right? So I wrote this first book. I wrote the first draft in 2019, and then I put it down. I picked it back up in 2020. I did a round of revisions, or like major revisions on it, and then I got it to the point where it's I still mostly retain most of that, and it was pretty good, I thought. But I started to overthink. At the time, like I said in my last video about being between this mode of driving Uber and Lyft, making sure I'm keeping the roof over my head, putting food on the table, and taking care of my son when he's with me, then having whatever clients I had, making sure I'm doing their work. But then when I'm in client mode, I'm not in marketing mode. And my marketing really, what was bringing me in clients and what has historically brought me in the most clients, has been me networking and just nurturing my network and meeting new people and growing my network, and either getting them directly from a networking relationship or from a referral. So if I'm in work mode with clients, I wasn't in marketing mode. So it was feast and famine in the business, and getting any kind of continuity was really tough, because while Uber and Lyft, you're an independent contractor, it takes up time like a job. Like, there's no way to do anything else but that. When you're doing it, you can't write, you can't edit. You gotta stay focused on the road. The best I could do was, just talk to my passengers, as many of passengers who were interested. If they noticed what I had written, that we would engage in a conversation. I didn't force it on anybody. People would just come in on their phones and go out and wouldn't have even seen it. Then, I wasn't aggressive. Like, that's not my personality. So I'm like, if you see it, make a comment, we'll talk about it, whatever. So there's that, right? I know the power of a book. I write the book, and then I convince myself that this is not the book that I should release right now. It's a good book, but I really should write a book that displays my methodology. I recommend, from my experience, from all of my marketing experience, and I didn't even go into like all of the different things that I've actually done throughout my career, but marketing copywriting is one of them. What makes me a good business book writing coach is not just the writing piece and not just the editing piece that I can bring, but I also bring the marketing, and I also understand what it takes for individuals and small businesses, one person businesses, solopreneurs, what it takes for them to leverage attention, really, and leverage that attention through a book. And I understand that there are different things that need to come into play if you are looking to get clients from this book and not just write a book that just to write a book. Because one of the things that I was seeing, because like I said before in the last episode, what got me to start advertising that I can help people with books is that I was seeing a lot of business owners writing books. Not only was I seeing poor quality in the books, I was also seeing people write books completely unrelated to their business. And it baffled me. I'm like, okay, well, you are let's see, let's pick a generic example. Okay, you are an accountant. You want accounting clients, but you wrote a book about meditation, like 31 days of, gratitude meditations. Nothing wrong with gratitude meditations. I'm here for it. But how's that going to get you accounting clients? That's my question. You need to write a book that's going to service the type of clients that you're looking for. And there are lots of different ways that you can approach that. But there are three book types in the marketplace that really do that the best. It's going to be I wasn't prepared to talk about this. So 51 is showing her age. She liked to hijack my memory at the most inopportune time. 51 is disrespectful, yo. She's disrespectful. Come on, what are the three book types? My goodness. Okay, the three common book types, and I have a video about this, but we're not looking nothing up right now. It is the how-to book. Okay, so that's where you're going to show someone how to do X, Y, and Z. You're going to take them through a step-by-step process, and by you showing them this process to go through, and they get a win or multiple wins, the person is going to see you as, wow, this person helped me with this. What else can they help me with, right? If they make that association, they trust you as a coach, as a guide, as a service provider, or a product provider, whatever the reason is for writing that book. So the how-to book is one popular style. The next popular style is a methodology book. So this book is going to really share how you do something. No, it's going to share why you do something, what your process is, and why that process works differently than every other process that's commonly available in your industry. That's a very simple breakdown of it. So, like if you're a sales trainer, why your sales training and your sales methodologies work. You're going to give examples and da 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 da. You may even tell a little bit of the story of how you came to come up with this methodology. Whatever. That book also puts you in the seat of being an expert in the reader's eyes. Like, oh, their methodology sounds really cool. We've never seen anything like that before. We've never tried it. I'd love to get this person to come in and train my team on their sales methodology, right? This is how books set you up and get you those opportunities that you're looking for, as long as you get the book in the hands of the decision makers. The third popular nonfiction book style that works very well in the marketplace is a client success book, or just a success book in general. So you can either share how you got success for yourself in a particular area, or how you were able to get it for your clients, or a combination of both. Maybe you got the success for yourself, then you started sharing it with clients and you got their success and you're sharing their success stories. Again, to set you up as the hero. In that, you're not saying that you're the hero. You're just saying, hey, I've got this process that works. You try it out. The person tries it out and they're like, wow, yes. Or they think through it and they're like, yeah, I don't want to try this by myself. I want to hire you as my coach. I want to hire you as my consultant because you're the person who, to help me implement this thing. That's how business books work. So this book does not follow any of those formats. It follows its own little path. And so I was like, well, maybe this isn't good enough. While it's a good book, I think it's necessary. I don't know how this is going to help me get clients. So I put it to the side and I convinced myself that I needed to write a methodology book. And at the time, I was like, well, why do I really need a methodology book when I'm ghostwriting? But I was like, you know what? On the other hand, if I show people like the process, maybe it'll like demystify it for them. Or I could put it to where this is the process that they could follow. And maybe they'll want to hire me as their ghostwriter because they're not going to want to do it. But they want to know about it. I started writing that book. It's 100% perfectly outlined, all of the steps, everything to do. And I started writing it, and I was just like, that noise is nasty, right? We're going to take care of that right now because I can't stand it. I hate listening to speakers with dry mouth. It is so irritating. So I'm going to take care of that for you right now. But you know, it happened at the perfect moment. I was just like, this is so dry. This is so dull. Like, if somebody does not love writing, but they want to write a book, this book is not going to connect with them. All right. And I am that self-critical and I am that self-aware that this is not going to connect with my audience. I'm writing something that's futile. And it just discouraged me. And I think this is about 2020 to 2021. And it's the pandemic. That doesn't help. Like I said, I had already gotten into pause mode and I was just in survival mode, just making sure bills are paid. And did I have health insurance then? No. I had a little bit of a health scare in 2019, was it? Some 18 or 19. I went to the hospital for a day. It cost me $18,000. Anyway, yeah, so I talked myself out of that book too. At a bad time to talk myself out of writing that book. I was in La La Land. I was in Lost Land. I was not sure what I was doing. And then I was also in transition where my son's father and I, we were making different decisions, for our son. And it was going to require me to move. And I was just like, I have lived in the Atlanta metro area since I think we got here November 1st, 2008. Been here for 16 or so years. I've moved 9 times. 9 times in 16 years. That's an average of moving every other year. To say I'm exhausted with moving. So I was like, oh gosh. And then now we're going to an area of town that was really expensive. And that's just about when prices were really starting to rise in Atlanta. Like, it was affordable. Like, before I was, hanging out at about $1,000, $1,100 for rent. But after that, that was like the last time I paid that kind of money. I missed those days. That at that time you could get something like that in a decent neighborhood. You didn't feel like, child, because I've driven Uber in some of these neighborhoods, and I'm like, how is this legal? There's a spot. It's called Camelot on Old National. How is this legal? This place is so run down. More than half of the apartments are abandoned, burned out, whatever. And I'm like, people live here? This is America? Shameful. But rent in those places be like $500, $600. Yeah, because everything is falling down around you and it's so dangerous. So pricing in Atlanta is the difference between being safe. And at the time, how old was my son? He was born in 2011. So this is 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So he's, seven, 7 to 8 years old, he's young. No. So I was figuring that out. And about that time, what I decided to do, we were um, taking him out of private school. We're going to use the public school system. We looked at the three top school systems, and every school system is different by county. We picked Fayette County. He was moving to Peachtree City, and I was just like, seriously, bro. So the only thing that I could think to do, I was like, okay, how am I getting into Peachtree City? Because nobody got time for these prices. I was like, you know what? Even though my teaching license from New York City expired in 2008, I was like, you know what? I still have a master's degree. Let me see if I can get into the school system doing something. And I'll rethink whether or not I want to go back into the school system. And if I'm going to do, I'd have to take the GACE, the whatever test it is, to get my Georgia license. I found a part-time job in a Peachtree City school. So I'm now going down there. And so now I'm looking for places in that area to live. So I'm really focused on what we got going on and trying to move and shift and transition my life. And I was already on pause with business. I didn't have the mental bandwidth. I didn't have the mental bandwidth. And so I just fell into this rut of just both books were dead. And when I finally figured out my life, when I finally figured out what I want to do, who I want to do it for, how I want to do it, and all that kind of good stuff, I decided to come back out in at the end of 2023, started the writingwithDeniseRenee.com brand, and just, taking little steps, baby steps. And last year, sometime in the middle of 2024, I said to myself, oh my God, one of the things that's really hurting you and hurting you growing your business, growing your audience, is you don't have a book. So, other coaches, one of the biggest drivers for these coaches' businesses is the fact that they have a book, and a lot of them market themselves as saying, "I was struggling to write a book, and I came up with this system, and then I wrote 50 books, and I want to help you write it too." That's marketing that sells. That's marketing that works. They're showing you how they came up with something. It came from their own pain. You are experiencing that pain, so you're going to trust them to do that. Other book writing coaches do not focus on the quality of the writing. They're just like, we're just going to get you through this process and you're going to get your book. And again, I've read some of these books that have come out of these coaches programs, and I'm like, congratulations on becoming a published author, because at the end of the day, you are a published author and I am not. I wouldn't say that I'm a perfectionist. I just believe in a certain level of quality. I have an English degree. Sue me. No, don't sue me. Don't sue me. God, no. So that's just my perspective. And I was struggling because I was just like, well, writing is not my problem. It's not my personal problem. It's not my personal struggle, writing. But I want to help people who are struggling with writing. Can I relate to that? And in 2020, I was taking a course with, or as part of a community program with a really popular copywriter. His name is Anik Singhal. And the one thing that really stuck out to me, and I remember to this day, and it troubled me at the time because I was just like, his premise was like, when you are marketing yourself, you don't want to be Batman. You don't want to position yourself as Batman. You are not the hero in the story. The customer is the hero in the story. Nobody can relate to Batman. There's 5 people in the world who can relate to being Batman, who is like a multi-uber billionaire whose money's money makes money. Okay, he's got 3 generations of money that's making money. All right, his money can done. He can buy anything, make anything, and he doesn't have superpowers, but he has super money to build the coolest tech and all that kind of good stuff. He has a whole company dedicated to creating technology, right? So, bet this is how he became Batman. Who can relate, right? 5 people in the world. Everybody else, nah, fam. What Onyx said was, you don't want to set yourself up to be Batman because nobody can relate to you. And this is at a time where relatability was starting to really become more important. And I think now, 5 years later, relatability is everything in marketing and in branding. He said, instead of trying to set yourself up to be Batman, set yourself up to be Robin. Everybody can relate to being Robin. No special powers, it's just human. Robin is just, he could fight, whatever. Anybody can learn how to fight, right? But really, Robin's specialty is being a helper to Batman. So if the customer is Batman, right, they are the superhero in their story, you are Robin. You are there to assist. All right. You're there to Obi-Wan Kenobi the situation. All right. And I was like, that really, I got it. I understood it. But I was like, how am I Robin? Because I'm Batman. I'm Batman. All right. I have an English degree. I've been writing for forever. I love this, but people that I'm dealing with don't love writing. They don't have a writing process, whatever. And I'm not trying to get them to love it like I do. I'm just trying to help them get through the process of writing their book, of getting their ideas out and getting their book done. And what I realized through these years of hibernation here is that, you know what? I can relate. I can be the Robin. While writing is not necessarily my issue, I do understand how overwhelming and how daunting writing a book and putting it out and being accepted is. And I know what it's like to literally talk yourself out of it. I had to sit down and sit with myself and be like, what is going on in your head? Really, girl, what is this? What is this? Why have you not written this book? Well, not why have you not written the book. Why have you not put anything out? I reread the manuscript and I was like, what is my problem? This was a good book. And I had to say to myself, what if you had put this book out 4 or 5 years ago? Because I was thinking about this in 2024. So, like, what if you had published this book in 2020? In 2020, would you write now? Would you have gone through the last couple of years of watching your income on Uber and Lyft decline, the couple of years that you were in the school system? You know, would getting clients be easier? Would your email list be bigger? Would you have more followers on YouTube and LinkedIn? The answer is yes. I'm like, it would be more than, like, even if you didn't do anything else, you just had that book and you were out, just going on podcasts and da 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 da, you would have been building an audience. So that when you were ready to, like, come back and re-announce, okay, boom, I've got services, whatever, you would have had some people who are already familiar with you. You would have had a message out there. It may or may not have been the perfect message or anything like that, but it would be a message and it would be out there and it would be a book and it would be validation. It would be a second kind of validation. Now, I will say that in terms of marketing, the kind of validation that I have is that even though I've been in hibernation mode, I have been working with clients. I've just been working with people who have come to me by referral or through my network. So it has not been a consistent flow, but I have worked with them. And because I wasn't laden down with a whole bunch of clients, I was able to really give each person's project a good attention. And from those projects, baby, I got them testimonials. Okay, so I think I have 8 or 9 testimonials on my channel, and they're all really, really, really good. So so that's great, but I need that daggone book. So I had to sit down, like I said, with myself and tap into why did I not publish this book? And really, it all comes down to fear and unrealistic expectations that I was putting on myself. Now, I'm not going to claim it anymore. I was putting it on myself. We're not doing that anymore. What was I afraid of? Well, if I'm out here calling myself a writing coach and I've been writing since I was 9 years old and I've got a degree in English and I have, concentration in short stories, whatever. Well, girl, you ain't published no short stories. Actually, you know what? I think I published a poem in an anthology years ago. I have no idea what that anthology is. Technically, I am a published author, but I can't remember the anthology it was in. So really, it doesn't count. But yeah, I have nothing to prove. Like I haven't even published. I had not been writing fiction in a while because life be getting in the way. It's kind of like music for me. It's like if I get into music, boom, it's 8 hours later, and I'm like, where did the time go? And then I have to go get up and go to work. So that's why I don't really jump into music because I just don't have that kind of. I don't have the time to get lost in the music. What's his name? Eminem, you got to lose yourself in the music. No, let it go. Na, 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 na. Right? Ain't got time for that. Not right now. Not yet, but I will. So it was just like, okay, girl. I was afraid of, okay, well, if I put this book out, and are people going to like it? Is it going to be reflective of me being a writing coach, being a ghostwriter? It's got to be good, right? It's got to be good, and people got to love it so that they'll love me and want to hire me for whatever it is that I do. Girl, too much pressure. Is this book going to sell? And it's not really. Is the book is an inanimate object. How is the book going to sell? It's going to be based on my marketing plan and my execution of that marketing plan. Do I have the chops to? You see, I've done things for other people. I've done things, in previous jobs that I've had, whatever. I've helped other people do their stuff, but I seemed to just kind of fall down on the job when it comes to anything for me. So having a series of lessons learned, where I'm like, well, we didn't succeed on that one, but that's a lesson to learn, baby. Having too many series of lessons learned that just like I said, put me on my back. I was just like, oh, can I really do this? It's just me being doubtful. Can I really sell? And then it feels like if it's not a bestseller, Lord, that's going to be embarrassing. You're a writing coach. But the dumb thing is that bestseller does not mean best written. Bestseller means the person who had the best marketing plan and executed it the best. And bestseller on New York Times or USA, a lot of those things are gamified. Even the Amazon bestseller, that's gamified to a certain extent. If you do certain things, if you really have a good pre-sale campaign, all of your pre-sale orders, they only count on the published date. So if you've been running a pre-sale campaign for 6 months and slowly but surely people, one person pre-ordered today and two people pre-ordered tomorrow and maybe a week from now 5 people pre-ordered, by the time it's publication day 500 people done pre-ordered or 100 people pre-ordered, right? And so all of those sales count on publication day and in that first week. So if after that 1 week you happen to be the person in that category that sold the most because of all your pre-sales, guess what? You are now the Amazon bestseller. But then you got to keep that joint up. Okay, you got to have another plan. Your pre-launch plan is one thing, but then your maintenance selling plan is another thing. So what are you going to do to keep on having those sales coming in? And I just wasn't sure that I had it. Like, again, I'm on pause, right? And I'm like, sorry, I'm starting from zero. Like, baby, what's good? What else was I afraid of? Yeah, I was wondering, I worried if I was going to have the right strategy to pull off the marketing. And to be very frank, marketing is really a series of trial and error, right? There are some best practices based on other people that have done certain things. But even when you do best practices for your industry, you're going to find that some things work well for you, other things don't work well, and you have to adjust to get the results that you want. So you're constantly adjusting things. So it's not about, oh, I'm going to flip the switch and I'm going to have a continuous stream of light flowing. This is not electricity. You're constantly going to be adjusting the pressure level here when it comes to marketing anything. So again, my thoughts were just erroneous. And then I wondered, is this really going to result in clients? Because again, when I first wrote the book, I'm like, this doesn't really follow any of the things that really, typically work. It doesn't follow one of those formats. It's different. It's unique. Well, it's not completely unique, but I mean, it's a little bit different. So I'm like, how am I going to make this work? And basically, all of my fears just boil down to one big burning question, and it is, can I really do this? Can I do what I have done for others for myself? Do I trust myself? Those are the big questions. And I was guaranteed that the answer is no if I did nothing. So I did nothing. I just created my own self-fulfilling prophecy. And if you can relate to that, I understand you. And you understand me, right? We can really talk ourselves into these corners. Or I'm really good at talking myself into this corner. But what I started thinking about in 2024, like I said, was like, girl, you could have been in a very different situation right now had you published this book 4 years ago. And so I had to change my thinking. And so I started thinking about, okay, you spent a lot of time on the negative. Like, what if this? What if that? What if this? And you kept coming up with negative answers. What if you come up with different answers? What would be the best case scenario of you releasing this book, polishing it up and releasing it? Well, the best case scenario is that it just becomes some wild runaway success. It's on the Amazon bestseller for weeks. I'm actually making money from the book, not even from the other 11 ways that I could make money from a book. See this video up here about that. But it's like, it could be this wild runaway success on getting asked to speaking events and conferences, and everything that I apply for, I get the gig, I get I get to speak, I get to do the conference, and every time I go, I get 50 people on my email list, and I walk away with one or two new client engagements. That's like, the best scenario. And and my social blows up because, I'm constantly going places. So people are always coming on board and they're interested and they're engaged and whatever. And it pushes my content out to more people. And it just makes inbound leads easy. That's the best case scenario. What's the worst case scenario? Well, I published this book, and on publish day, I sell 10 copies, right? Maybe, depending on the categories I choose, I might get one of those categories I could be a bestseller in that category. Baby, I'm going to snap that picture. I am going to snap that screenshot, and that will be my promo for 2 years. I was #1 bestseller for a week. I'm like, I think I could sell 10 copies on I could set up a pre-launch, and I think I could sell 10 copies on opening day. I can get those 10 sales in advance. But the rest of those sales will drip in. But at least I will have the book. And now if I apply for things to be a speaker at these things, I have a way better shot of getting accepted. If I'm not, because of my work schedule, I'm not able to do everything, I can definitely apply to be on different podcasts because I'm an author. So it's still going to be it's not going to be instant success. It's not going to be instant gratification. It's not going to be instant money. It's not going to be instant clients, but it gives me the opportunity to just leverage this book and start marketing different, start doing leverage marketing instead of just doing, and it will help my content marketing. I'm over here grinding it out, every day or every week. But as people get to see me on these other platforms, they'll start to come over, they'll start to follow, they'll start to get on my email list. It won't be instant, but it will be gradual, and it will start to make inbound easier. What's the middle scenario? Well, maybe it goes faster than what I think. Maybe not a skyrocket, right? Maybe I don't wind up on Sherry Shepherd's show today on this book, but there's something in between, right? Not that super fast, but not that super slow. At this point, I will take the worst case scenario, that's super slow. That is better than nothing at all. That is better than no book at all. At this point, it's almost like, just to say that I am a published author, winning. Winning. All right? Winning. So those are the thoughts that propelled me into action. And I had to work myself out of those thoughts. Those are still real fears. Those are still real concerns. But the reality is, not everybody is going to love what I do. Not everybody is going to love my personality. Not everybody is going to like the book. They'll think it's dumb or whatever. They're going to have their opinions. There's going to be somebody who writes a negative review. Give me a 1 star. But there'll be people who will love it, who will be like, oh my gosh, it's exactly what I needed. Thank you so much, Denise Renee. There's going to be both. So I can't focus so much on the negative responses and keep me at a zero, keep me not doing anything at all. I need to go out there for the people for whom this will help. So I've probably flashed the title of the book on the screen. It's called Write Your Book, 10 Mindset Hacks to Move You from Fear to Finished. It's exactly what that subtitle says. And I almost think that maybe me not putting it out then makes me putting it out now much more impactful. I have a Robin story to tell you. I have a relatable story to tell you. I have my own, the mindset hacks that are in this book, or the problems that this book addresses, are not my problems, but I can relate to them. Okay, they're not my problems because they're not writing specific. And again, I have been writing my whole life. I've gone through my process of learning how to write, learning how to communicate, and doing it at a level where people pay me for my writing. They pay me for my editorial skills. I'm paid. Maybe not as consistently as I would like to be. Maybe not as much as I would like to be paid, but I've been paid, right? And that's what makes you a professional at something, when people see the value that you give and they pay you for it. I'm a professional, right? So from a writing standpoint, not my problem. Not my problem, but I mean, that those are not my struggles, right? That the writing is not my struggle, but the mindset behind these writing struggles. And the thing is that people have these writing struggles, and then they have all of the other struggles that I have, and to release the book. I've worked with clients who, we made some progress, but they didn't publish their book. They didn't finish their book, because I know they're dealing with all the stuff that I was dealing with, and then the writing part. So at the time, if I had published this in 2020, it could have been helpful. But I think now, I can relate to this so much more. I'm more compassionate, and I get it. I understand. And so I make this video so that people can understand that I understand, and I'm not here to judge. I relate. But I can say that because I have overcome, you can too. So that is my story behind this book not being released prior to now. But right now we are moving towards publication in early 2025. I don't want to say a date just yet, only because, listen, I would like for my ego to have that that Amazon #1 bestseller, and I'm going to take that screenshot. Okay, so I'm like, I have to create, a marketing campaign so that I can get these pre-sales, and on publication day we can hit that #1. Now everything that happens after that is what happens after that. But yeah, we that's what we're gonna do. This is what we're working on. That's why I'm stretching out the time. But also, as I create content about the process of this book, I'm quite sure I'll be bringing people on board who are just, invested in, what I'm doing and what I'm sharing. And a lot of these mindset hacks, these mindsets, they come from my years, since 2018 of talking to a lot of people. I've spoken to way more people as prospects than I have actually had clients. Not everyone is ready to jump on. They're not ready mentally, and they're not ready emotionally, and they're not ready financially to invest, or emotionally to invest the time to write their book right now. It's just an idea. It's just a nice idea. Maybe one day. It's not in their purview that this could be today. This could be this year. But people will tell me, "Oh, you write books, or you help other people with their books?" Oh God. And of course, the question I would get right after that is, "What's your book about?" Oh my God. Let me tell you something about, I know I'm going on a tangent. Let me tell you something about Uber writers. Let me tell you, reading is fundamental. People will get in the back of my car. My thing says, "I will help you write a book." I will help you write a book. They say, "Oh, you write books? Did you read?" I didn't say that I have a book for sale. I didn't say this is my book, order now. Although, had my book been done, you best to believe that's what it would have said. It would have had a QR code, or they'd have been like, "Oh, you got books on you? Yeah, I got one. You want one? Okay, this is my Cash App. Here we go. Cash at me $20, and I'm gonna give you this book, and I'm gonna sign it." I actually know somebody who would do that. They drove Lyft, and they had always had books, and he always had books in his car, and he would talk to people. "Oh, you like to read? Whatever." Da, 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 da. He was a hustler. I wasn't mad. I was not mad at him at all. But yeah, people would just like make the association, and it's a disassociation. When I say I'm a book writing coach or an editor, they don't understand how is it that I'm helping people with their books, but I don't have a book myself. So coming across that way too many times that I could count, it's like, girl, you are doing yourself the biggest injustice. But anyway, getting back to my original thought, people would say, "Oh, I want to write a book someday." A lot of people want to write a book about their lives. They want to tell their stories. And I have frameworks for telling stories about your life too. And I'm going to do a series this year that really goes into that more deeply. But people will say, "Yeah, I want to write a book, but," and there were about 10 things that I would hear over and over and over and over. Those 10 things are: "I want to write a book, but I'm not a real writer. I want to write a book, but I sucked at writing in school. I want to write a book, but I have writer's block. But I started my book, but I can't finish it. But I'm not an expert," especially for the business people. "But someone else wrote a book on my subject. So, my book, there's no reason for me to write that book. But I'm too busy to write a book. I have a job, and I have a business. I have a side hustle. I got kids. I got church. I got community responsibilities. Ain't nobody got time for writing a book. But writing a book can't bring me clients now. This is going to take too long." And this one I can definitely relate to. Like, no, it's not. Yes, it will, but there's no time frame on that. It could be immediate. It could be long term. It could be both. But if I can't be a bestseller, like if it's not going to sell out, like I'm not going to go through all that effort. If this money is not going to be flowing, if the money ain't money in, right? And then I'm too old or too young to write a book. So these are the reasons and excuses and things that people have come up with that they tell me all the time are the hindrances to them writing a book. And some of them have to do with the actual writing, and some of them don't. They're just beliefs. And if anybody can relate to having beliefs that are not serving them and beliefs that are blocking them from writing a book, your girl can relate. Okay. And so what I've done is I've updated the book with that knowledge and with that experience in it. Because before it was just like, oh, well, if you're thinking this, then do that. So if you're thinking this, you can do that. But now I can put more of my person and more of my own stories and my own struggles into it. And then also, I feel like, some of my fears have also increased because over the last year, as I've been getting back into content and I've really been like going all out on my newsletters and things like that, and people, really deeply respond and deeply connect because I started really telling more personal stories and things like that. Child, now I'm like, oh shucks, I'm putting the target on my back. This thing has got to be good. Because I've raised people's expectations. They're always telling me like, wow, you're a good storyteller. You can really tell a story and da 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 da. And instead of that making me feel good, I'm like, oh shucks. The pressure. But I'm like, I trust myself to write well. I trust myself to, write in an entertaining way. But it really has given me just the opportunity to really take the raw bones and put more stories in and be more personable and be more Robin. So I'm in that process now of infusing more Robin into this manuscript. By the time I'm ready to record the third episode, I'm gonna read you the first chapter. And that's all you're gonna get. But in my content, I will start talking about these ideas and these concepts and the problems around it. I won't like give too much away in terms of the solution because the solution will be in the book. And I would love it if you just contributed $20 to getting the solution. And I'm gonna have an audio book and the print version and the ebook. So whatever version you like to get your books, we're gonna have that. So thank you for listening. If you can relate, type the word relate. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe. Yeah, we'll be talking more about the contents of the book, and share this with someone who, if you've ever talked to someone and they were like, yeah, I want to write a book, but da 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 da, that they're holding themselves back. This is gonna be the book for them. And if this is not the book for them, maybe my story is the story for them. Share this video. And I would really encourage you to please get on my email list for the book pre-launch so that you are aware of when pre-launch is open and available. I don't have a date for that yet, but at least I have a email list. And this email list, I'm only shooting out whatever content's related to the book. So whether it's these video series or I do something on LinkedIn, I'll send you guys a link to it so that you can stay abreast. And the best thing that you can help me do is just share this with someone who you think can relate. And I thank you so much for hanging with me. Child, it's 12 o'clock. I don't even want to look on the record time on this video. I probably talked for an hour. But if you're still here all the way to the end, you're a real one. Thanks. And I'll see you in the next episode.